we're gonna start this, and we're gonna kick this off with Brian here, who he's gonna hope his team has a better season than they did last year.
Oh, that's for sure.
Yep.
All I'm gonna say is that this year, I don't know what I was thinking honestly when I was making my picks like for who I wanted to wear, but I ended up just going a lot of a bias because I'm like other times I feel like I try to think about it too much and like the logistics, and it kind of just bites me in the butt. So I was just like, like I kind of want to just see where it goes based off of like biasness. Like I want to see how it turns out because I mean, I did obviously think some of them with my head. Like I obviously keep in mind of like who leaves, who comes in, or like how teams ended last year versus how they didn't. So kind of just like I don't know, I kind of just went a lot off the head, not so much like brains into it and like calculations you would say. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say, but yeah, let's get it started. So should I start from the bottom down or the
Yeah,
top
do bottom down. Even though,
or the bottom?
yeah,
Yeah.
bottom down. All I'm gonna say is okay. So this is the one league that we mostly do pay attention to a lot, but I'm not gonna lie to you. Some of the ingoings and outgoings are a little tough to go by because
Yeah.
some people might see some players as big, some people might see them as small. It just depends how you see
Yeah.
it. Like we can't mention every single youth player that leaves or every
Yeah.
tiny small role player or reserve player that leaves. If we miss a player or two, we're sorry. A signing, an arrival, a departure, it is what it is. But we're gonna do our best to be as accurate as possible with our, when we read out our list. So don't slate us for that one. So, but yeah, Brian, go ahead and take it away.
All right. So with my 20th slot, I chose Southampton. And you're gonna see a very common trend with my three teams that get relegated. But yeah, so honestly, I had them go straight back down because I feel like they're just one of those teams that kind of isn't strong enough, and it's not like they spent like ton. I know they spent some money on a couple players, but it wasn't no crazy players. Like I'm not even gonna try to act like I know who they were. Like it's people that I didn't even know. So like I'm assuming they're like the I'm not gonna say bottom tier players. I'm gonna say middle tier just because I'm not aware of them, and they're not like these bigger players. So, and obviously nowadays, I feel like the Premier League is kind of transitioning to be like a much harder league. So I feel like it's a lot harder to stay up now than to just like how it was before, kind of like these teams that they would come up and like you'd get one or two that would not probably just like one that would stay up, but now it's just like every team that comes up they kind of go straight back down. So I mean. Maybe there's a surprise, but I don't think so. So then with my 19th team, I have Leicester City actually.
Hmm.
And this was based off because they lost my GOAT Enzo Maresca. Obviously, he had him kind of buzzing at the start of the last year whenever he had him in the championship. But then also another big reason was because they lost like their centerpiece, Dewsbury Hall. And I feel like Enzo was kind of like a really big part of that team that I feel like he kind of just had him playing like tactically. And I don't know if they're gonna be able to replace that. You gotta keep in mind that they do have a new manager, so they could start off like either like buzzing again or they could start off like completely horrible and they might need to gel. So I kind of took that into account. And also I had heard of like I want to say a couple weeks ago saying that or hearing rumblings that they could get a point deduction. So I kind of took that into account.
Hmm.
And I was like, yeah, if they get a point deduction, it's not going to be looking good. So, like, I don't know. I kind of took that into account. And then that's kind of what made me want to have him 19. Also, just because, like I'm saying, once you get a new manager, it doesn't always turn out how you want it to at the start. So that's why I have him 19th. 18th. This one kind of hurt me a little bit because I actually kind of wanted him to stay up, but I had Ipswich Town going
Wow,
down in that
that's
last
what we're
spot. I
doing.
Yes, I know. I'm telling you,
That's
like
boring.
in these last couple years, like I feel like no one's really like well now in the trend that like the Premier League is going like even like a couple years ago when we're like, oh, Everton's gonna go down because they're so down bad and they somehow managed to stay up because like they somehow either get lucky or this, but I feel like it's more so that the Premier League is changing. Like these teams are even the smaller teams are kind of getting a little bigger. that it's just like not even close when these other teams come up. So that's just my opinion. If I really wanted to, and which I almost did, I almost had Ipswich Town 17th, and then my next team that I'm about to mention going down, but I just couldn't see it. Like I don't know, I kind of had flashbacks to last year with Luton, and like I was just like, oh, Luton should have stayed up, but like they somehow still went down. Like, and I just thought about the same thing. I was like, I'm gonna bite myself if I end up putting them going up, which even though I should have just for like the memes, but like I don't want it to be towards the end of the year and be like, see, I knew I should have had them going down, and then So I don't know. It was just, but I really wanted them to stay up just because I mean they signed Amari Hutchinson. Hopefully, he finally gets a chance. I know Chelsea never gave him a chance. Arsenal never gave him a chance. So hopefully, he actually gets a chance here to shine because I know he's a really good player. They also signed Calvin Phillips, and I'm
On
actually
low,
a big, huh?
on low.
I know, but like they still got him for the year, so
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, I'm actually a big fan of Kieran McKenna, so
Okay.
that's why I kind of wanted him to stay up. Like I feel like he's a perfect manager for like a team that could possibly stay up. But I mean, yeah, I don't know, I just can't see it. But this next team, so 17th, this is a team that I feel like if they don't, I really wanted to put them to go down, but I don't know, I couldn't see as much as I could see it. I can't see it, and that is Wolves. And oh my God, it's because I hate Wolves with a passion. Like I don't like these guys. I hate these guys. So it's just like I really wanted them to go down, but I just can't see it. But if somebody does go down, I think it will be Wolves. But for now, I'll have them 17th in my prediction. And it's solely because, like, once again, literally, like Leicester, they lost like their key player. They lost my boy now, Pedro Neto. They also lost Kilman, and I mean, they did get some money from Pedro Neto, but I mean, they kind of got it pretty late, so like they haven't really spent it. I would say they haven't really brought anybody in to like replace him, and I don't think they brought anyone in to. Actually, they might have brought someone in to replace Kilman. I just don't remember who, but I remember seeing that they had brought somebody in. But yeah, like I don't know. I feel like they were already like kind of a middle of the pack, lower to the pack tier team. I would say. But like obviously, when you lose your star player, you don't know how that's gonna change. So, and I'm also just not a big fan of Wolves, and like I have a little bit more confidence in some of these other teams. So that's why I have them 17th. But I could easily see them getting relegated. So don't get shocked if they get relegated. Then 16th. I got, and this is where kind of like you can literally start throwing anybody anywhere
Pretty
because it's
much.
just like literally like there's always a reason for all of them to kind of go or like get near relegation. But 16th, I got Bournemouth just solely because they lost Solanke, and I mean they got the money from him with a lot of time, and they did not reinvest it with what I thought. Like I thought they were gonna bring in a replacement or like try to get somebody to cover. I know there were some rumblings about I forget who they were gonna sign, but and I believe they signed one of your boys. I think you were mentioning so earlier. So, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I didn't think they were gonna make a pretty big push, and like I feel like they're always also like this back end tier team. I mean, I didn't really have much faith, so yeah, that's why I had them 16th. 15th, I actually put Forest. I mean, I don't like them, but I kind of like some of their
Hmm.
players, so I kind of had them 15th just in hopes that like they would stay away from the relegation zone. They obviously have more Morgan Gibbs White. They have Elanga. They have Hudson Odoi, and they're gonna be a second year into like their project that they kind of have going on, and they're one of these teams that actually kept a similar starting 11. Like I feel like they didn't really pick anyone up or change their main team, so I feel like that's actually going to help them out because I feel like they're just going to keep growing together, and they didn't look that bad last year. Like I feel like last year, just Gibbs himself and then Alonga and Hudson Odoi looked pretty good. Like that looked like a pretty good attack. So I feel like it'll kind of with another year down their belt, I feel like it'll be better for them, and I feel like they'll actually start growing. I obviously don't know, like with these teams, you don't really expect them to go like make a crazy push to like eighth or like seventh or something like that. But like, I mean, I think they'll have a better season. So yeah, I'll have them 15th, and then 14th, I have Brentford. And Brentford is one of these teams that I don't know why. Like I could see them going like making a really good push, or I could see them going really far back in time. So like I don't know. It's kind of they're kind of a weird team that I didn't really know how to place. I mean, I was basically placing them here basis on the basis that they're gonna sell Ivan Toney. I don't think they're gonna keep him. I mean, last year we clearly saw how much they struggled whenever Ivan Toney wasn't playing. Obviously, once he started playing towards the back end of the season, they obviously started to perform a little bit more. But like, I just don't see a world where they keep Ivan Toney. Like, I feel like he's gonna get sold. So, and I'm not gonna lie, I've heard one rumbling from a non-credible source, but I went with it that Chelsea could be looking into getting him. So, if we make that happen, I will be very happy. But anyways, yeah, I just don't see them keeping or not. What am I talking about?
Tony.
Ivan Toney. Yeah, so that's just kind of why I had them in this position, and they're also just like this middle pack of a team. So then 13th, if you've been looking at my picks, there's this one team that they just keep going higher and higher, and it ends here. But it's just like, what are they doing over here? And that is Everton. Everton is
Mm,
finally
that's pretty
gonna
high
make
up.
that. Yeah, Everton is finally gonna make that push up. And let me tell you why. Last year, these boys got shafted with their point deduction. There's some more rumblings that they're gonna get another point deduction this year for like breaching something. But I don't think it'll happen. I feel like they're gonna get some like they're gonna cut some slack on them this year. But I mean, if it does happen, it's gonna suck and ruin my whole prediction. But I don't think they will. And last year we kind of saw how decent they were doing. If they didn't get that point deduction, I think they would have ended like 14th, I believe. They ended up like I think like 16th or 17th. But I feel like that point deduction really kind of said it all because they actually had a very good season and all that's like thanks to Sean Dice. Sean Dice. I don't know how you say his name
That's
properly.
how you say it. Yeah.
Yeah, Sean Dice. But yeah, I think he's the perfect manager for that team. He's kind of the only person that has been able to like actually make some change in that team. The only thing I'm really scared of is that they did lose Onana, and I feel like Onana's such a big piece to like what they actually had going on. Like I feel like a lot
Wait,
of people.
Onana?
What happened? Yeah,
Wait, what's his name?
I forget his first name, but
You
yeah, let me
don't
pull it up.
you don't get it, huh?
Huh?
You don't get it, huh?
No, why?
I said Onana.
Oh,
You're
bro.
like, what are you talking about?
Bro, I'm like so confused. Sorry, guys, it's late. It's late.
Yes.
but
Um.
but yeah, they obviously lost him, and I feel like he's like such a big piece that a lot of people actually aren't taking into account. Like I don't know, I just feel like he's like kind of like one of those heartbeat players of the team, you know? So I think they kind of have a good chance of like being old Everton where they kind of like start falling down, but I have faith in Sean Dyche that he will actually keep him up and pretty get him ascending actually. But they could only do that if the boy Calvert Lewin actually scores. Like this dude needs to score some goals or else they're gonna be cooked. Because I mean, I feel like whenever he's playing at a pretty good level, like I feel like they kind of looking solid. But when he doesn't, it kind of hurts them. And that's whenever they don't have a player like Onana to be able to kind of balance that out. So I mean, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But that's gonna be like my shocking pick, as you can tell now.
Yep.
But yeah, so then 12th, we got Fulham. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you, Fulham is one of those teams where I did not know where to put. Like I don't know. Like they lost Polina, obviously. They lost Tosin to Chelsea. But they still have like these crazy players. Like they have Rodrigo Muniz or however you say his name. And then they still have what's his face that they just signed from Arsenal last year, I believe, Smith Rowe.
Yep.
And then he looked really, really good in the preseason, so I'm not gonna shy away from that. And then they have my boy Jedi Robinson that I can't shy away from the biasness. So that's one of the teams where I kind of just didn't know where to put him. But I mean, I don't know. They're one of those teams where it's they're either gonna perform or they're not. So I kind of just had a middle of the pack just because I didn't know to put them lower. And there's these other teams that I feel like are just a little further back than they are. So yeah, I just kind of put them there. And I feel like these other teams kind of are showing a little bit more of a push nowadays, you could say. So like I feel like a lot of these teams, like I said, they're not starting to be as small as they once used to be. Like I feel like some of these teams are actually starting to grow. So we'll see. 11th. this is a team I regret putting here, and I don't know why I had them there.
Oh,
But
wait,
I
hold on.
put them
Before
here.
we continue, for context, Brian made his list a while ago and he refuses to change it, which is why he's
Yeah,
saying what he's saying. In case
I
you were
will
wondering
not.
why.
I will not change it, and I will tell you guys why I won't change it. This is because whenever it was about a week ago, I feel like
About a week
it was
ago?
pretty a week ago. It was pretty close to the start of the season. So I'm just like, I kind of want this to be my last list just because, like, I don't really want to go down to the last day when they actually play, you know? Like, I want it to be pretty fair. Like, I want to see, because at that moment in time, I feel like a lot of stuff had already happened and I didn't really think anything else was going to happen. And not crazy stuff has happened, you know? So it's just like little things that have changed. But I was like, you can't put a list out and then like things not change. Like things are gonna happen, like players are gonna get hurt. So I'm like, it is what it is, you know? At that moment, that's what I was feeling. So I didn't want to change it. Like I just want to let it be. So then like once again, I went a lot based off bias. So at the end of the year, I kind of wanted it to be like one of those memes where it's just like, dang, like I actually put them there, you know, just because it's not so sweaty, I would say. So it's not so like a try hardy thing. Like I didn't want it to be like a homework assignment, you know, where you're like trying to make it perfect. Like you just want to let it free flow, and that's what happened. So
Well,
anyway,
go ahead.
at this moment in time, I do not know why I put Crystal Palace 11th, but I did
That's not crazy.
because they lost Michael Olise, and he was a very very big part of that attack. Now they're gonna have to rely a lot on Eze, which I mean he he has looked very very solid, but will he be able to take a lot of the load? I don't know that. I mean they did get like Kamada, but I don't know. Like I just don't see now looking back at my list, I don't see how they can look a little bit better like Fulham. I mean, they're always that middle of the pack team. They're always literally like 11, 10, 12. They're always in this place. But I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel like I kind of overshadowed the loss of Michael Olise because I feel like that is going to end up coming to bite them in the butt. But they're 11th. So, and actually, it kind of makes sense as to why. So then I'll just keep moving on. Any thoughts as we're midway through my prediction? Thoughts?
Well, first of all, Crystal Palace also brought in Ismaila Sarr.
Yes, they did actually.
Yeah. And you forgot to mention the best player on Fulham,
Which is?
Raul Jimenez.
Yeah. Anyways, as you can tell, why I skipped over that bozo.
Oh?
Just
Well,
kidding.
go
No,
ahead.
but I
Go
don't
ahead.
know. He just, I'm all I'm gonna say is he's not a Raul Jimenez that he once was. So,
I don't know, man. He
well,
started
I'll just leave
scoring
it.
at the end last year.
Yeah. Tomato, tomato.
Ah.
Any-
The only shock that I have from you is Everton's so high. The rest seems
Yeah,
pretty much normal.
yeah. But like I said, I was like the Everton thing. You could always look back at it too. Like hindsight, last year, if it wasn't for that point deduction, they would have been higher. So I don't know. It's just a thing, but I
Go
kind
ahead.
of see them on the upward trend. But yeah.
Go
So
ahead.
then we continue with my list. 10th, Brighton. And Brighton, I'm not gonna lie, I have this sticky feeling that they're actually gonna like,
Sticky,
hey yo, Bob.
eh?
I have this weird feeling that they're actually gonna end up like pulling some like crazy strings and end up getting like eighth or seventh. I don't know why. It's just like a hunch. But I mean, they did get a new manager. I think he's German, right? Like his
Yeah,
name's like Ursula or something like that.
Brian Herzler. I think.
Yeah, all I know is
Yeah,
that he's very, very young, and I guess he's pretty good. So, I
he
mean, go ahead.
he. Oh, I believe I'm not wrong. I might be slated, but I'm pretty sure he brought up a team from the second division. Oh, he brought up St. Pauli. St. Pauli, he brought them up to the Bundesliga,
Yeah,
and obviously Brighton came in because they needed a new manager since De Zerbi left to join Marseille, and they brought him in, and he's a very promising manager. A lot of people were upset that he abandoned the project, but hey, I mean, as cool as it is to like run it back and have your first season in like the first division after you get promoted, your
yeah,
opportunity when your stock is high, you gotta go. Because if you fall off the next year, you might
yeah,
no one might want you. So I can see
yeah,
why he made the jump, but maybe it's just the FIFA person in me that finds it exciting to run it back in a new division. I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah.
That's just me. But yeah,
No, that's for sure. I feel like that's for everybody. Like you always kind of want to see how that story ends up turning out because, I mean, it can turn to something big, but like you said, it could also go bad very quickly. So you kind of just gotta jump on your opportunities.
yeah, like
But
how
yeah, so
like Thiago Motta with the he
yeah,
got Bologna in the Champions League, but then he abandoned them for Juve. So it's kind of tough there.
yeah.
But yeah. But go ahead, Brian.
But yeah, so then Brighton, yeah, they kind of got him as a new manager. I mean, they still have the amazingness of Matoma. They still have their Evan Fergusons or Danny Welbecks. So I mean, I think they'll be fine. I didn't think they brought in anybody crazy. I think they signed Minter, who was actually doing pretty good in the preseason, but nothing too crazy. But I don't know. I just have a good feeling that like he'll kind of get them going pretty quickly, and hopefully that would turn out well for them. But in this sake, they're 10th. But I could see them getting a secret little jump. So we'll see how that goes. And then ninth, and you'll see very quickly in my list. Towards the top, I went pretty boring. I'm not gonna lie, but I just like I don't know. Like I don't have faith in these teams as other people do. I just don't. Ninth, I have West Ham. Like I know people are raving about West Ham and like how they could do this and that, but I just don't see it. Like they signed Fulkrug, yes, that's a good signing, but I mean, I feel like their team's a little on their older side. Like I don't know. Like they just signed Wan-Bissaka too, but like I don't know. They don't really have anything that jumps out to me. Like, yes, the Fulkrug signing is pretty good, but like, I don't know. And they also have a new manager, so I feel like they're kind of doing like not a rebuild, but more of like a retouch, I would say. So like once again, I'm not a big fan of like these managers and like whenever they get signed in and having them do really good because you never really know. They also signed like Somerville, I believe, who's also a pretty decent signing. But I mean, I don't know. I just looked at their team and they kind of looked a little old, and I'm just like, there's nothing to really jump and excite me as it would for another person. So I had them ninth. Then eighth, and honestly, if I would like do this again, I would have them much higher. But for my sake of having it already done, I am not going to change it. Aston Villa. I had it to do again, I would not have put them this low. But they did go, or they are in the Champions League this year, and we've known how this crumbles teams. Like the Champions League is another breed. You have to have so much depth to be able to both put your focus on the Champions League and on the Premier League. And I mean, it could be like one of those things where they don't really emphasize or where they don't really focus on the Champions League, but at the same time, you kind of have to. Like, if you're one of these clubs that isn't normally here, I feel like you just have to show the like your presence. Well, like I guess you would say, like that you're a bigger club. So I feel like they obviously are going to focus on the Champions League, not as much as the. Actually, you never know. They could try to like focus on it a lot since they're not really here a lot, but yeah, like I don't think I think this will like give them a pretty big step back from the Premier League. I mean, they lost Douglas Luiz and Diaby. Diaby wasn't so much, I feel like, of a big loss to them. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like he's kind of one of those players that was gonna get end up washed out of their team anyways. But I feel like Douglas Luiz was a pretty good loss. I mean, they did sign Onana, who was a pretty big signing. They did sign my boy Madsen, who was looking good last year whenever he was on loan. I mean, they still have Ollie Watkins, which is why like in my head, I don't know. I just saw them like taking a setback, but I was like, you know what? Like they have a pretty solid team. They don't have as much depth as I feel like they should have to still perform. But like, I mean, I don't know. I could have seen them at least like sixth, seventh. You know, like eighth. I feel like I was a little harsh dropping them that far down. But at the same time, I easily could see them eighth again. Like you know, like it's just one of those things where it's just like a lot of these teams don't know how to handle two types of competitions, especially when it's such a big thing like the Champions League. And they could also get a very hard first group, and then there's like the injuries and all this stuff. So yeah, I have them eighth. Then seventh. Another team that like everybody keeps raving about that I just don't see it. And that is Newcastle. Everybody is on such a high horse with Newcastle and I don't know why. Because to me, if I look at it, I'm like, yes, they actually get Tonali back, which is gonna be very huge for them. But I mean, besides that, they didn't like and he's not even a signing. He's just coming back from suspension. So like they didn't have any crazy signings. And if you ask me, if they if what's his name? If Isak gets hurt, I don't know where that team goes. Like it's one of those teams where it's just like they're like one big injury away from a downfall. So I don't know where like this big like crazy rave is going with everybody and like their big hope on Newcastle. I just don't see it. I couldn't see them going anywhere near the top six, which surprisingly, like I know you were saying, like it's not there is chance for it to not be your traditional top six. Obviously I kind of still had it the top six, but like I don't know, it's just like none of these teams are kind of like calling my name, you could say, and it could be completely opposite for someone else, but yeah, it's just for me. So then six, ugh, Spurs, Spurs.
Hmm.
Yes, this is gonna be quite of a shocker. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of could have had him higher. I would have swap them with Manchester United, but I'll tell you why right now after. So Spurs, they did get Solanke. They did sign Archie Gray, who's gonna be huge for them, like huge, gonna change that team a lot. But once again, it's one of those teams similar to Newcastle where if Son or Madison gets hurt, we've seen how that team kind of looked with Madison and without Madison. Like if he gets hurt, it's big for that team. Obviously now it's gonna be different since Archie Gray's there, but like even if Sun gets hurt, like what happens for that team? Like it can go bad so quickly that's kind of why I just didn't have faith. I know they have another year under what's his name?
And
Yeah, Ange, and he kind of had him going pretty good. He had him going at the start of last year, but then he had a fall off towards the back end of the year. So it's just like I don't know. It all kind of just depends how he gets them going. I feel like he's pretty good manager for that team, but I can't see a world where like an injury happens and they just keep popping off. So I I feel like I was very being kind of like aware that injuries can happen because I feel like a lot of the times I don't kind of take that into account in some of these teams. And also Spurs is one of these teams where it's kind of not having as much depth as these other teams are kind of getting. Like obviously Chelsea has like 10 teams that they could throw out there if they really wanted to. Or like same with like a lot of these other teams like City or Arsenal, like they have a lot of depth. But as the years have gone, like Spurs depth has kind of gone away because some of their players have turned mediocre and some of them have just left. So it is what it is. But yeah, that's why I kind of had him sixth. But I don't know. I could have seen him higher. Fifth, unfortunately, I had Manchester United, as you can tell. But I did not want to put them here, and this is why I'm going to put them here. I cannot, as horrible as these guys have been, like trust me when I say this with all my heart, I wanted to put these guys like eighth or ninth. But I just do not see a world where these guys don't get at least top five. Because if they get top five, I think it's over for these guys. Like it'll look so bad to like any man. Like I think it'll actually like I feel like this is the last year for them to actually prove that they can still be up in these like higher rankings. Because if not, it's just gonna go bad, so bad for them. They did lose Wan-Bissaka, Varane left, Martial left, but they did also get some good signings. Like they got De Ligt, they got Mazraoui. I mean, they still have Kobe. He's taking like pretty big steps. Obviously, over or in the Euros, he looked very good. They still have Garnacho. He also looked good whenever they were the Copa America. So I don't know. I feel like oh, and they also got Licha back too. I feel like he was a very big important piece in their defense that they lacked last year. I feel like last year their defense was like hurt the entire year. That's why they had Casemiro playing center back at one point, which was hilarious, by the
Yep.
way. But like I feel like with Licha, they'll kind of look better, and obviously they're gonna be healthy again. They still got the man, the myth, the legendary Maguire, so he has to count for some. But no, I think they just have a little bit more depth and they're a little healthier, so I feel like they'll actually perform more. But at the same time, like we don't know what's gonna happen with Marcus Rashford because Marcus Rashford is a weird story that like happened in the Premier League where this dude had like the brightest lights on him to very down and like kind of washed up player. But I mean, we'll see what they do with this year with him because I mean they have to kind of choose either to keep him in or take him out. But yeah, I don't know. I just didn't see a world where they just don't make at least the top five anymore. Because if they don't, it's just gonna look so bad on them. So I feel like the pressure's gonna they're gonna kind of how would you say it? Perform with the pressure. But I mean, we know recent Manchester United, so they might united their way out of the top five. So, anyways, another team that can united their way out of the top four, Chelsea. I don't know how I got them here, and that's strictly off of bias. I'm not gonna lie to you. 'Cause if you looked at their preseason game, it was shocking. Their preseason was so shocking. But the only thing that I still have hope with is that Jackson was not playing, Palmer was not playing, and they were subbing out everybody within like halftime. So it's just like you just have so many players that like Maresca kind of had to literally check everyone out. So I know a lot of people were like, "Oh, they look bad, they look this, they look that." But at the same time, like literally, we have like 40 different players on the first team roster. Like they have to cut people. So in order to cut people, you have to play everybody to see how they play, to see if you like them. So I'm gonna blame the preseason on that. I'm just letting you guys know. I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for it because Chelsea has looked very, very lackluster. But at the same time, they do not have any European competitions that are important. They do not have Champions League. They do not have Europa League. They have the Conference League. So I feel like that'll kind of be good for them. And if there's a team that has as much depth as they need, it is Chelsea. They have players to sign or they have players to keep for forever. Like they can put out five first team teams. Like these guys have depth for days. So I don't know. And I feel like they also got some pretty good signings. Like they signed Pedro Neto, who I think is gonna be very huge. There's also rumblings that they were gonna sign Joao Felix. There's also rumblings that they were gonna sign Oshiman. There's also rumblings that they're going to sign Ivan Toney. And if you are a Chelsea fan, you know that these rumblings sometimes eventually turn to be true. Like, it's not like these other teams where your owner doesn't spend money. Our owner actually likes to overspend his money. So that's why I'm like not throwing those out. Like, obviously, these are things that can actually happen, which is crazy. But I also don't want people to forget how good of a hot ending they had last year. Last year they won like 7 of their last 8 games, or like 6 of their 7, or they won 6 of their last 7, something along those lines. So they were actually ended off on a very good streak. And I don't want people to forget, like, yes, this year they start off with City, but don't start the season until after the City game. Like, just keep that in mind. We know City is gonna be City, so I don't want you to base everything off of the first game. Wait till the second game and then decide. So like, just keep that in mind. But yeah, I had them fourth just because of the depth they have, because I think they're still gonna perform based off how they were performing last year. They got Palmer, they got Jackson. I think Enzo's attack is going to be a little better than Poch's. I feel like Poch kind of just had everybody running everywhere, which kind of sucked. And even like that, they still somehow ended in the top six. So we'll just, I think they'll get fourth. And they got nothing to worry about. So just leave it at that. I was kind of ranting a little bit. But, anyways, then we got third. And this is uh one of the ones where it's kind of just like, I feel like it's an obvious choice, but at the same time, it's not, because we have our boys Liverpool. They obviously lost Jurgen Klopp, but if there was anybody more perfect to slide in, it was Arnie Slot. I feel like he has great attacking football, so I mean, I feel like they'll be just fine. A lot of their team is getting older, but I mean, I think they'll be fine. Like they're the first team I think actually this year that has not made one singular signing, which is concerning. They were gonna sign Zubamendi, but here we land did not land. So I don't know if you've seen those memes where
Yes, I
like people try to say,
have.
yeah. Anyways, as a joke, obviously people have been mocking Fabricio Romano. So, anyways, but yeah, Zubamendi, they had Zubamendi to come and play the six, but they didn't. He didn't actually get to sign there. Something happened and the deal collapsed. I'm pretty sure he kind of just like, or the team kind of just fleeced Liverpool into doing their work for them, right? To like get him a deal for what's their team called again?
So it's Sociedad, but I think it was the opposite. I think Zubamendi, he wasn't trying to sign with Liverpool. He was just trying to make Sociedad give him a bigger contract because, I
Yeah,
mean, this guy doesn't care about trophies, man. He plays for Sociedad.
yeah,
Sociedad don't win trophies. They just play every season and that's it. They don't get relegated. They don't. They maybe every now and then they'll play the Europa League or the Conference League, but that guy wanted to just stay in Spain. I don't. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if the guy just didn't care for the opportunity to win trophies or he wanted to stay in
Yeah,
Spain. I mean, I'm sure Spain's weather and atmosphere is much better than England, so he just saw it as I just want to stay where I'm comfortable. I think he's been at Sociedad his entire career, so I'm like, he's like, you know what?
yeah,
I just want to just get my bag and just run it back. So I don't know. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, but see, so like with their team, I feel like they are missing number six, but I mean, I'm sure they'll figure it out. Like I'm sure they'll end up throwing somebody there. The only thing that's kind of concerning me is that they are getting older, but you still got to realize that they still have Mo Salah. They still have what's his face? Van Dyke. They still have like all these players. I feel like Darwin.
Darwizzy.
I know I was gonna say Darwin. I think I got myself, but he is on his last draw, I would say. So I feel like he has to perform. He has literally no option because if he does not perform this year, I feel like it's gonna go very bad for him. And like I literally don't know what will happen with him, but he has to perform this year. Like I don't think they have an option. I feel like Gakpo will look better in his second year with Liverpool. Like they still just have a lot of players that I think they'll make it work. And like I said, Arnie Slot has very attacking football, and that's what they've had with Klopp. So I mean, I think it'll just continue. But I don't see them making a push for second because, like I said, they have not signed anybody. So
Nope.
other teams, obviously, Arsenal and Man City have a lot more depth. So yeah, that's why I have them third. Second, and I know you wanted to hear this, big uncle. It is not Man City. It is Arsenal.
Oh yeah, of
And I
course, of
have
course.
Arsenal
What else is
second.
new, man?
Because it is very, very obvious. The only player they signed was Calafiori. And I mean, if I wanted them to really sign one person, if there was one position I really wanted them to sign was a striker, and they did not. I feel like that is a hole that they have been missing this whole time. And I feel like if they get a really solid striker, that'll change everything. Like I feel like that would actually give them that last push to go to win the league. But I just didn't see them doing that. Obviously, they didn't do that. They just signed Cali Fury. They have been making these last pushes like the last 2 years, but I mean, when it comes to it, they always crumble. So I mean, they're just one of those teams where like they're just missing one big piece, and they just somehow don't keep addressing it. And to me, I think it's a striker position. Yes, they have all the depth in the world, but does it really matter? Because if you look at Man City, they have the same amount of depth, but they have bigger players. Like they have the Holland. They have the Holland that is going to score the crazy amount of goals, like the 30 goal seasons. Arsenal does not. Arsenal has Kai Havertz, and let's just leave it at that. Like, I just don't see it, man. I don't know. I feel like they needed something crazy in that attack that they just didn't get. But that only leaves one team and one team only, and it'll be Man City, and they will repeat, and not even by choice. Like, I think these guys will just repeat on accident because
On
obviously,
accident.
Pep is gonna. I know, like it's sad that I say that, but their team is that good. It's gonna be Pep's last year, so I feel like the players are gonna want to perform for Pep. I feel like they're gonna want to have that one last that one last like going away tour where they win the league. I mean, I'm sure he probably doesn't even care about the league at this rate anymore, like how many times he's won. But they're getting a healthy KDB, they're getting a healthy Holland. They just signed Savio, which I don't even think was that necessary because I mean I think they'll be fine. The one thing that kind of scares me though is that Julian Alvarez did leave. So I mean, I wonder what would happen in a world if Holland gets hurt. Like I wonder who they throw at striker. It'll be one of those things where we kind of just figure out. But as we've seen, City will always find a way. Like these dudes have players, even from their academy, that end up turning out good. Like they have Bob, they have Lewis,
They
they have
have
all
who?
these Bob. I forget his first name.
Babathy?
Bobathy. I gotta look for his first name.
uh, I'm just
What's his
messing.
name?
City too?
Oscar. Isn't it Oscar Bob?
I don't know, but they just sold a bunch of youth players. You know that?
Yeah, no, this dude actually just got hurt not too long ago, but didn't
No,
want to spoil it. But spoiler, guys, he got hurt.
I'm just saying because they sold a lot of youth players. I, I
Yeah,
was I was seeing that they're outs. It was a bunch of like youth
yeah.
players, but yeah.
No, oh, and Rico Lewis. So actually, they like I feel like I know a lot of their youth players actually left, but whenever I was watching the preseason games, because I actually tried watching a lot of these teams' preseason games, and their youth like literally looked so good in their starting team. So like even if they don't have their crazy players, they always find a way. and I feel like it's just a Pep thing. But I know you're not the biggest fan of Pep, but
Oh
Pep is
yeah,
Pep, man. So
yeah, I love
I'll
that
just
guy.
I'll just leave it like that. Your favorite manager is gonna get his last farewell tour, and I mean, yeah, City's is gonna be City. I just don't see it happening unless there is one way, and that way is if they get relegated because of their all the tampering and things like that. But we obviously know that is not gonna happen, so that's what I had him first.
Oh my god, that's
And I'll leave
hilarious.
it.
That's hilarious. There's so many things that I think Harry Kane would get his first trophy before that.
I literally put in the tiniest asterisk in my notes. Only chance they don't win the league is if they get relegated, which will not happen in
Oh,
quotation
that
marks.
will never happen. It's funny because they
But
recently were found guilty for something and they literally paid a fine. I don't remember how much it was, but it was peanuts. And I was like, you're
yeah,
kidding me, man. It's just ridiculous at this point, man. The FA is a joke, man. Those bums can't do anything right. But no, let's punish Nottingham Forest and Everton.
yeah,
Those are the clubs that
literally.
are terrorizing this league. Oh yeah, man.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. Oh, I forgot about the Nottingham Forest one.
Yeah, that was last
Dang.
season. I don't know about this season. If they have
No, I
a
know. That's what I'm saying. Like I forgot that that happened.
yeah, no, it's dumb, man. But what do you expect, honestly? I
Yeah,
don't even
but
know.
that's why I just had him first. Like there's no way these guys are gonna get relegated or even get a point deduction. If they get a point deduction, it'll be like a 1 point deduction.
Oh yeah,
Don't don't expect nothing crazy.
for
So
sure.
yeah, they'll be fine. And that's why I had them first. But yeah, that was my table.
All right, man.
Thoughts?
Well,
Thoughts?
a decent table, I'd say. Nothing too crazy. Um, but yeah, so mine's gonna be somewhat different than yours. I might speed run this because
No.
I'm not gonna lie. I was looking at some of the players, but again, nothing crazy jumps out at me. So I'm just
Yeah,
gonna.
I'm telling you, like there's with the Premier League, like you can't get every single player. Like, yes, there's these signings, but some of these signings aren't like big signings. Some of these signings are just like kind of on the smaller tier end. And it's just like you can't name everybody because there's so many teams, you know? Like, I don't know. It's just you kind of just gotta go with what you go. But I'm actually excited because every time we have a different team, I feel like, or every time we have different teams, it always makes it interesting when we look back. So it's good for the content. Good for the
Oh yeah, for sure. I was gonna say, yeah, no, because I'm like, a lot of these guys, you just don't know. And some of these players, you're like, who the heck is this? And why'd they go for 40, 50 mil? Like, who even is this? Like,
Hey, that's the definition of Chelsea.
I mean, the whole league at this point, because I was looking at a lot of the signings, I'm like, who the heck is this? Who's this? Who's that? It's just the English tax, man. It's just, you just gotta be
Uh,
English, and they'll sell you for like a minimum 50, 60 mil. So,
I think we're getting to a world where everybody's just starting to get massive contracts, but that's because there's just tons of money out there now.
oh
So,
yeah, that's the bad thing about the Prem right there.
yep. But
Uh,
go ahead, take it away.
All right, bet. So, okay, so I might regret who I put at 18th, but I'm gonna go. Like I said, my bottom teams are gonna be more a little bit towards the bias side, and the top are gonna be a little more on the serious side. So for 20th, I'm gonna go with Wolves. Um,
Ooh,
yeah, so I don't care about Wolves no more because they sold Raul Jimenez, so I don't care for Wolves anymore. One, two, like they sold their best player in Neto, I'd say, and I don't even know who they even have anymore. Like their team pretty much is a big bunch of nothingness. The fact that they stayed up is crazy, but they had a nice little push at the end. I was shocked that they stayed up because I thought for sure they'd get relegated last season, but I just
yeah.
can't see it. But like I said, I don't care for Wolves no more, so they can go down. But yeah, so 19. This is crazy because it contradicts everything you said, but I just feel like it just kind of is a little bit too much, and I just can't see it. And eventually they gotta go down. There's too many close calls, and I know it's a big shocker, and I don't know if anybody's gonna have this, but I'm gonna put Everton at 19th.
Oh,
Yeah, so
no, no,
I'm sure
no.
this one's gonna either cost me a lot of points or I'm gonna hit it spot on. So the way I see it is they lost Onana and they lost Ben Godfrey. Those are two big players on their team. I would
Yeah.
say, obviously it hurts them, and I mean the players they got, like they're not the best. Their defense is pretty trash, honestly. The defense is pretty trash, and I don't even know what to say. They've only made like three signings, like four signings, and I don't even know who any of these guys are. They signed a guy from Villa. Don't know who that is for 11 mil. signed a guy from Marseille. Don't know who that is. They signed a guy from Napoli for cheap, and they signed an Irishman from Lyon. Didn't know an Irishman played for Lyon. See, a lot of the players they say, I don't know who these guys are. See what I mean? I don't know who these guys are. But they didn't get any crazy players. Their defense is aged. It's old. It's kind of trash. They have Ashley Young in their ranks. I'm like, come on, man. That guy. The fact that guy's still playing is crazy. But the fact that he's like playing for them is another thing. I just can't see them. Their squad is pretty trash. They don't have any crazy players that'll keep them up. Um, honestly, but it does come down, I guess you could say, to like Calvert Lewin, how he performs. Because if he has like if he has the form that he used to have in previous seasons where he was balling, they might have a chance. But it's a lot to put all your eggs in one basket, and I just can't see it. Everton eventually got to go down, man. They can't just keep scraping by. They had a pretty decent season last year, like towards the end, even with the point deduction, but I don't know. They got to play one season in the Premier League with their new stadium, but they'll enjoy the championship next season. But yeah. Now this next one is very controversial, and it's another different spectrum from yours. But I'm gonna put Brentford 18th.
Oh, you have everybody staying up.
Yes,
that's great.
I do. I know. I don't care, man. No one's gonna get this spot on.
I don't think that's.
I might as well just shoot my shot, man. I hate every year everyone has the three that went up to go back down. I'm like, that's boring, man. Like, come on. This last year, yeah, they went down, but I mean, you knew that Sheffield United was going down. I almost did it again. Last year I said Sheffield Wednesday. I almost said it again.
I was actually confident in what's her name. In Burnley, I was actually.
I was not, and I'm mad. I'm mad. I let everyone's comments about Burnley sway me because I was gonna have Burnley going down, but because of all this talk about who even is this bum company that bum about him and Burnley and this and that, and they did nothing and they went down.
See, but that's how it is with these teams. Like they just get a lot of. Their fan base finally makes their way into the Premier League. They try to get it in your brain.
It wasn't even just their fan base. It was everyone. Everybody was on that train. Everybody was on the company train.
The story that this is finally gonna happen, and then it doesn't happen. Like I don't know. Like it's boring. It's true. Hopefully I'm wrong, but because I'd like to see Ipswich Town stay up.
Yes, I'm just saying because everybody last year was saying Burnley, not just Burnley fans. Everyone in the world were saying that that company was the guy. He was the answer. The guy who was gonna do so many great things, and he did nothing. The fact that how he got that Bayern job was hilarious. I just can't wait for Bayern to get relegated.
I know.
But yeah, so
Harry Kane's really never gonna win a trophy. Oh, yeah, he's never beating those allegations.
Nope, he's not. But I put Brentford here because nobody knows what's going on with Ivan Toney. I don't know if anybody even wants him because I know there's a lot of drama that follows him like off the pitch. Sometimes like the bad outweighs the good in the sense of like, do you want to take a chance on a player like that? You know, like you don't know if you want to take that chance, that risk there, and what if something happens? And like he was that almost the whole season. You saw it because he can't stop gambling for some reason. Like he doesn't already make so much money as it is. So I don't know what this guy's problem is, but honestly, they didn't really make any signing. They only made like one signing so far, and it was Fabio Carvalho from Liverpool. Liverpool just decided to just cut their ties with him. I don't even think he even had much. I think they loaned him out last season to Leipzig, and he didn't really play at all. Honestly,
that dude.
What happened?
I was not big on that dude.
No, when they signed him, I didn't even know who he was. Honestly, like I said, I don't keep up with Championship football, but I think they signed him from Fulham, and Fulham isn't in the Championship, but I can't remember. Either way, no, they signed him from wait, they just signed him from Fulham. But I don't know. Like I wasn't too sure about him when they signed him, and then nothing really happened with him. They decided to just cut their losses and they let him go. But I don't know if that's really gonna do much for you, really. I feel like they've been lucky so far, but I feel like it can only get them so far in the end. So I'm just gonna put Brentford there. I'm sure it's crazy, and I'm gonna regret it, but It is what
It
it
is
is.
for the memes. It's for the memes.
Yeah, I mean it is what it is. Um, but yeah, all right. So that's my bottom three to go down, and then
Nice.
from here, like I said, people might be like, "You're crazy," this and that, but I have something to back it up. Okay, so for 17th, I'm putting Ipswich. So
Nice.
Ipswich is gonna be my new Luton for this season. Um,
Him actually.
yes, honestly, last year Luton deserved to go down because last year everybody underperformed and it was their best chance to stay up, and they started off strong but they just crumbled towards the end. They just couldn't keep up with everything and they ended up falling. But think about it. They were only in the run because everyone was doing bad. So if everybody was doing normal, they would have gotten relegated ages into the season. They probably would have got relegated by like March or something. So March or April. So um, I can't give too much credit to Luton, but Ipswich Town. So I'm gonna say this, and everybody's probably gonna be like, "This, what's this guy on?" But it's just proof. If you have a cool badge, a cool name, decent kids, then I'm a fan of your club. Um, I dig it. I like this Ipswich Town logo, the team name, the crest. All that stuff, man. So I'm hoping that they stay up. I think it's exciting. I love Ipswich Town has been up, but I get so excited when a team hasn't been up in a while and they come back up. I think it's the most exciting thing ever. I think it's so cool, and I love it. That's the stuff that I live for. That and debutants. So when a new team enters the fray that has never been there, that's the most exciting thing ever. I love me an underdog story. That's the most exciting thing for me. Just like remember when Leicester won the league, nobody thought that it was gonna happen, and then as time went on, they're like, is it really gonna happen? And then it didn't end up happening. So, but yeah, I'm not gonna lie. The signings, nothing crazy. I don't know any of these guys. I can't say much other than Calvin Phillips. I got on loan, and they signed one of City's wonder kids, Liam Delap, a striker from City. That's the only two guys I really recognize that they signed in. Oh, well, you said they brought in Amari Hutchinson, huh?
Yeah.
That's right. But they already had him on loan. No, was it like loan with obligation to buy or something?
To be honest, but I just know he wasn't getting minutes, but now he should be getting minutes.
Yeah. But yeah, yeah, I'm gonna put Ipswich on the bottom, like on the very bottom, scraping the barrel barely. But that's what I'm gonna put them. Um, and then next after that, I'm going to put Nottingham Forest. Um,
Nice.
Yeah, so I know they cleaned house. They finally got rid of all their. It's funny, they were Chelsea last season, and now Chelsea is Chelsea. So they had
Yep.
like 100 million players signed to their ranks, and they finally cleared their lines a bit, and they got rid of some of those guys. So now it's not as crazy as it was, you know. So that's good for them. They got rid of some of the I don't say deadwood, but they
Yeah.
did. Again, the signings, nothing too crazy jumps out at me. But see, this is the thing I'm talking about, Brian. I don't know who Elliot Anderson is, but he got signed for 41 mil to Nottingham Forest. I don't know who this guy is.
Yeah.
I don't know who this guy
Hmm.
is. See, I just don't understand sometimes. Like I may not be a purist and watch every game or watch every team or know every squad list, but I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
Um, and nothing really jumps out at me. So I don't know what's gonna happen with Forest, but I'm just gonna go on a limb and just put them in 16th because once again, I like the team, their name, their crest,
Yeah.
their kits. So once
Yes.
again, that's what I'm going with. Kits, yeah. But yeah, I'm putting them there because I feel like as much as Forest was bad last season, I feel like their squad is better than Ipswich. So there's no way that
Yeah.
Ipswich that they finished below. Then logically, I'd see Forest above Ipswich. But yeah. So for 15, I'm going to go with Southampton.
Nice.
Yeah. So the funny thing is, when they went down, they didn't lose a lot of their players. A lot of them stayed with them. A lot of them decided to stay with them. I think Lavia was gonna stay with them as well, but then you guys ended up signing him. So
Yeah.
but I think he was gonna end up staying because I think he had played a game or two in the championship. So I think that's what's gonna happen. But they kept a lot of their players. You know, they still got Kyle Walker Peters. Um, They picked up Adam Lallana. I know he's over the hill, but still, they brought in your boy Leslie Ugochukwu on loan.
Oh, yeah, forgot.
Yeah. They kept some of their players. I know for sure they kept some of their players. They brought in Ben Brereton from Villarreal. Um, but yeah, I mean nothing too crazy. But like I said, they kept some of their players when they went down to the championship. But
Yeah,
Southampton, they went up a while back and they stayed up in the Prem for a long, 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 long time. They were up for a while. They were known at one point for like breeding players. Like everybody was buying up their players. That's the meme of Liverpool buying up all their players. You know, Adam Lallana,
yeah,
Adam Lambert, um, what is there? Sadio Mane, Van Dyke. It's just all kinds of players. I think. Oh, and Klein. Also, it was the time when they were like buying all their players from Southampton. They're like a
yeah.
breeding ground. But but yeah, like I feel like they've been up here and they know what to do to stay up. We'll see what happens. I know it's a different team than the one that went down. Everything's different, so we shall see how things pan out for them. But I'm gonna put them there, and
Nice,
then right in front of them, I'm going to put Leicester.
nice.
Yeah, I know you don't have any faith in Leicester at all, but
I
they
know.
have the GOAT, Jamie
Oh,
Vardy.
they do have the go, Jamie
Yeah,
Vardy.
Jamie Vardy loves to party, and I feel like he has a lot more in store, and I feel like he's just gonna ball out once again. You know, like I said that they would come right back. Honestly, I feel like they never should have went down. Um, I feel what happened was they just started off really badly, and then it took them too long to try and right the wrongs or right the ship, and then by then it was already too late. Because I
Yeah,
honestly feel like that Leicester going down was a complete mistake that should have never happened, and it was a freak accident. It was like one of those times. It's like a shocking one, you know, like a big team going down. Like to put it in comparison. Well, I can't compare it because Santos in Brazil is like a big club. It's like Santos is like a like a Liverpool or an Arsenal going down. It's not. I can't compare that team to Leicester. That's disrespectful. But it's just like a big club, like a not a big club, but it's just a club you wouldn't expect to go down because they're pretty stable and solid and had decent players at the time. So I just feel like it was a mistake, and I feel like they know how to stay up. They were up, like I said, for a while when they came up. They won the Prem that one year, and obviously at one point they were bringing in talented players like in Conte and
yeah.
Mahrez, and obviously they had Jamie Vardy, and it was that squad. Nobody will forget that squad. Funny enough, they lost a lot of their players recently. They let them go on a free. They didn't resign them, which is like Prey, Albrighton, Iheanacho, which is funny because they had those guys for a while. They sold Dewsbury Hall. I'm not gonna lie to you. I did not know who Dewsbury Hall was. I guess he was on Leicester's team the whole time, but I didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't really shine until his last season in the championship, which is crazy because he's been with the team for a while. I didn't even know he was on their
And
books.
I think he was more of like a Enzo system player, is what I was like kind of this like whenever I was like looking at it, I feel like
Yeah.
that's the only system he kind of really shined into.
Ah, okay, that makes sense. Cause I'm like, I didn't even know who he was. I didn't even know he was on Leicester, but he shined last season, and Leicester came back up. I feel like they could have won it more comfortably. They kind of at the end they cut it close, which sucks, but they got it done in the end, and that's the important part. And I said they'd come right back up, and that they did. Um, but yeah, okay. So next team that we have is Bournemouth right
Ooh,
here.
nice.
Yeah, I'm putting Bournemouth there. So it's tough because it's funny. Last year I had Bournemouth going down, and they stayed up. Their best season yet, which is funny because that was a big one for me. This season I'm putting them. I would put them a lot lower, but they were pretty solid. And also, of course, I gotta say I dropped them down a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, I had them a little bit higher.
Yeah,
But the fact that they lost Solanke is a big deal because even though Solanke
yeah,
was I don't know how Solanke's gonna pan out because I feel like he was like a medium sized fish in a small pond, and now he's a small fish in a huge pond.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that's gonna pan out. I guess that analogy I said was wrong, but it was bad because he
Honestly,
wasn't a bad player.
yeah, I feel like he was just stuck in a I don't want to say horrible team, in a
A
not
bad
good team.
team, yeah.
Yeah, and now that he has good players around him, I feel like he'll perform.
We'll see, because it's one of either two ways. Either the player arises to the challenge and then he plays better because he has better players around him, or he was just playing really good because the other players were just so bad.
That
Um,
too.
yeah, exactly. So we never know how that goes. Like I said, we don't know who they're gonna bring in as striker. I think I remember there was rumors that they were gonna bring in. They were thinking about putting in a bid for Santi
Yeah,
Jimenez. I don't know if they are. Probably not, because I feel like you want a little someone more established than like that is like guaranteed to get you goals, like
yeah,
able to adjust to your surroundings, I guess you could say. So I don't know who they're gonna bring in to replace Solanke. Is gonna be someone really big. But the reason why I have them a little bit higher than I would is because obviously they got Julian Araujo now, from thank God he left Barcelona, that garbage club. Um, but I was just saying that I feel like it's Barcelona's loss. Don't get me wrong, I get it. They have a lot of youth players in that slot, but I don't know, man. I feel like them letting him go for so cheap with no buyback clause and no sell on clause is just
yeah.
crazy. That's just bad business, man. Even
I agree.
even Real Madrid when they sell like their, it's funny. I always find a way to just bring these guys in here, but
It's
even
because you
them,
like him so much.
they're my
That's
club, man, and they're just the best club in the world. It's just tough, but I was gonna say, even then when they sell off their youth players that they feel aren't gonna pan out to anything and aren't gonna amount to anything, even they include some type of clause
yeah,
into their contract, like a
yeah,
percentage of a sell on in case this guy turns out to be crazy. They have like a huge sell on clause, or something like that.
yeah,
But no, nothing. And I feel like they're gonna regret that. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure their youth players that they got in that slot might pan out to something, but they might not. If you remember at the time, they had a lot
yeah,
of youth players that were destined for glory, and they kind of flopped. So you just never know. It's better to have someone established and someone that has like some experience under their belt versus some youngsters that have none. So we shall see
yeah.
there. I don't know how this turned into a Barcelona thing, but they are garbage. Okay. But yeah. So that is that one right there. I think that's all I want to say. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I can't even count. Okay, cool. For my next one right here, I'm going to go with Fulham. Um, I
Nice.
originally had Fulham a little bit lower, but I think I had Fulham lower last season, but not just because of Raul, because obviously Raul's not really gonna play much. That was already obvious. They brought in Ryan Sessegnon on a free and Emil Smith Rowe, which I feel like Arsenal's gonna regret that transfer 100%. I feel like he's a solid player. They just couldn't use him
Yeah,
to his best talents. Um, I just feel like he's gonna pan out, do really well. I don't know, who knows? Because people said the same thing about when they sold what's his name? They sold him to Newcastle. Do you remember? Do you know his name? Um, the center mid for Newcastle. Do you know what I'm talking
for
about?
last year or when?
No, it was a while. It was like a couple seasons ago. Let me see. His name is Willock. Joe Willock. When they sold Joe
Okay.
Willock, I feel like people said the same thing, and I mean he's been okay, but I don't think he's the player that people saw him as that he was gonna turn out to. So he didn't really.
Yeah,
He's not a flop yet, but he hasn't really lived up to that potential just yet. But I feel like
yeah.
they might feel that way with Emil Smith Rowe. That I feel like they just couldn't use him to his strengths. But yeah, so I put them 12th. Now 11th, I'm gonna put Brighton. So I feel like Brighton have kind of fallen off a little bit. It's tough because I don't want to put them too high. I don't want to put them too low. Like I said, they did bring in that new manager with a lot of potential, Fabian Hurlitzer.
Yeah.
I don't. What was that, Brian?
It's like Herzler or
I think
something
it's
like.
Herzler. No offense, I apologize. We cannot pronounce names. Um, but But yeah, pretty much so. I don't know. I feel like he did great things for St. Pauli. He got them up, which is crazy. A big feat, and he took the reins over from De Zerbi, and it's a big job. We'll see how he copes with that. But I just feel like they're not the team that they used to be.
Yeah.
Not many crazy signings. The only two signings that I know of really is like they signed Mats Wiefer, I think it's Wiefer or Weifer from Feyenoord. He was a decent player because obviously I keep up with Feyenoord because of Santi, but he was a decent player for them, so I thought it was a decent signing. See how he translates, how his game translates in the Premier League, and I know
Yeah.
that they bought Minta, but I
Yeah.
people were saying that it was an FFP sell from Newcastle, so there might be some.
Yeah.
Let's say some of these teams might be a little shady with their dealing. So if they don't watch out, they might catch a point deduction. Like these
Chelsea.
if some of these teams are colluding, like hey, scratch my back, we'll scratch your back, um,
Yeah.
you know, stuff like that. Like hey, we need to make a sale, like help us out, and we'll help you out down the road, something like that. Who knows? But
Chelsea Strasbourg.
oh, well, that's different because it's not the same league. That's like a sister club. That's like a sister club. That's more like you're thinking of like City and like
Yeah.
Girona or you know
Yeah.
all those teams. But yeah, pretty much that's. But you get the point. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna put them there, in 11th, and then 10th. I'm going to go with Crystal Palace. What's Crystal Palace at? Crystal Palace.
That's not that bad. I respect it.
Yeah, so Crystal Palace is always around the mid-table range. Nothing too crazy. They're always pretty much in the middle of the pack. Nothing, never in danger of going down, but never really in the place to go up. To go up to any European spots. Like I said, we said earlier, they brought in Sar and Kamada, but that's pretty much it. Nothing too crazy that they've really made any changes um, to their squad. They lost Olise, obviously, which is very tragic, and we hear rumors of Guehi might be going.
Yeah.
Um, that'd be a huge loss for them because he was very good in the Euros, and they better hope they get some big money and replace him because he's gonna be a big loss for them, 100%.
Yeah.
But Crystal Palace is always in the middle of the pack, so I feel like that's how it is. I kind of want to swap them with Brighton, but I'm gonna leave it as is. Um, but yeah, I'll leave that there, and then in ninth, I'm going to go not ninth though. Wait, see, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. Yeah, so nine. Um, what's the word I'm gonna say? So ninth, I'm going to go with Newcastle. So
No.
yeah, like I said, they got back to Nolly, but they haven't really done too much. I'd say they haven't really done enough to really put up a fight to get back the spots they had previously before, where they're making a push for the Champions League or European football of some sort. We'll see how how Eddie Howe manages with the squad that he has at his disposal. I know that this what they have at the moment. I know that they're struggling from FFP, which is why they haven't signed anybody really, and that's why they've made a lot of departures. So we'll see how they go moving forward with that little because they want to stay like kind of on the bubble. They don't want to end up in dangerous territory where they might take a point deduction,
Yeah.
or a ban. But yeah, so that's I have them there 10th. So ninth, right? I can't count 12, 11, 10, 9. No, 8th. 8th, I have West Ham right here.
Nice.
So obviously Edson Alvarez plays for the squad. I don't want to be too biased, of course. Like he's my guy, but I put them a little high, but I don't want to put them too low. Like I said, they brought in Wan-Bissaka, but I feel like Wan-Bissaka is like a shell of his former self. But they did bring in Todibo, which I know they stole him from some team. I don't know what team it was. I think it was a Premier League team, but they hijacked that signing. So Todibo was a big signing for them, and I feel like he's gonna do great things for them. They brought in Guido Rodriguez on a free, but I feel like he's kind of older. I don't know how well of a player he's gonna turn out to be for them. Like we said, they brought in Somerville and they brought in Fulkrug, which are decent signings, but I feel like they're not the signings that you would make to kind of put you over the top. It's more like to keep
Yeah.
you in the middle of the pack, but I have faith for West. I'm gonna put them eighth. Oh, and by the way, as we do these, just remember that we don't know what truly will be the result at the end because remember now the way they're doing these these European spots are dependent on how far the teams make it. So if a lot of English teams make it far, some of these guys might end up sneaking into Europe, but we don't know. As we saw last season with the Serie A, how they almost had like half the league in
Yeah.
European football. It just depends on how everyone does. So you never know. West Ham might sneak in and end up getting some type of European football, but we shall see. I put them eighth, so seventh. I'm gonna put Villa right there. They have UCL ball, and it's a lot of games to manage, and the UCL is very demanding, and you can't put up a crappy lineup if you want to take it seriously. If you want to actually try and put up a fight, you got to put up a good team, and it's got kind of a lot of competition to juggle, so they don't really have the depth, in my opinion, for that. Like we mentioned, they brought in Onana, but it's not really Matson, but other than that, nothing really else really jumps out at you. They sold Diaby, but I feel like Diaby's kind of a bum in a sense of he didn't really
Yeah.
live up to his potential. Uh, like,
Yeah, that's
uh,
what I'm saying. Like, I feel like he's gonna get washed out regardless at some point.
and it seems like he's money. He's money hungry. He's money chasing because he's bag chasing because he came to the Prem because Prem pays a lot of money, and then
Yeah.
Saudi came running. He's like, oh, that's even more money, so he jumped in because he's at 25, man. At 25, he's in Saudi. Come on, man. Like that's just disappointing. I feel like that's embarrassing from him, and I guess his career's done. I don't know how it works, how it'll work out, but that's that. So
Mhm.
I'm gonna put Villa seventh. We'll see how they do with all these competitions that they're juggling. All right, and then sixth, I'm going to put Manchester United. So
Nice.
I would put them lower for the memes, but they just made some crazy big signings, and it's kind of hard to put them any lower because obviously it's not just the signings; they
Yeah.
also need to gel, and the manager also needs to be able to put the piece together. And the guy can't do if the guy can't do it with the squad they have now, then I don't know what else to say. But they've spent a lot of money recently, and United before were the type that they didn't want to spend a dime. So if they don't take advantage
But
of this, I don't know.
I will say they do now have full commitment with Eric Ten Hag, so he should not have pressure at all. So if he still somehow fumbles this, I don't know what to say because that dude should have no pressure at all to like perform. Dude literally just got full trust from the team, so I don't know. I don't know what to say if he doesn't do something this year.
Yeah, but yeah, like they brought in Joshua Zirkzee from Bologna, Lenny Yoro, which I will mention about. Yes, obviously, I'm a Madrid fan, so I know about the whole Lenny
You
Yoro
gotta mention
fiasco.
him.
I gotta say what I was gonna say about him, but Delit and Mazraoui, which are huge signings. Honestly, it's crazy. Um, they're big signings that they made. They're gonna really bolster their defense. I feel like their defense was a little lacking in previous years, and now they might actually have a solid back line. But but as I was saying about Lenny Euro, so the situation at Lille was okay. So Madrid obviously knew what Lille was asking for, and they were asking for way too much, so they were not going to pay what they were asking for. So they were hoping they'd get him on a free. So obviously they were hoping that Euro would just deny everything and just sit it out and just join on a free. But the thing that was tough is that obviously Lille was threatening him with no playing time, and as a young I saw different points and perspectives, and as a young player, he needs to play to grow his own brand, or he's gonna grow his own person. Like, what if he doesn't play for sure out of that whole year, and he kind of regresses or gets injured, and he doesn't get that transfer to Madrid after all? Then it would have been for nothing. And I get it that it was too much at risk to sit out and took a chance on it. Like you've seen it before, like when Mbappe didn't want to sign his contract and PSG sat him, but then they started losing games and they kind of had no choice but to bring him back. But I feel like it's not the same situation. Obviously, you can't compare them. So obviously he obviously took the opportunity to join United. I don't blame him. He obviously got hurt right away after he signed in a game against Arsenal, and now he's gonna be out for I think 3 months. Maybe it's a big loss for him. It's unfortunate. Like I said, no, I don't have any bad things to say about him. I don't blame him. He has to think about his future in general, and you never know what happens down the road. But yeah, so I wish him the best, and we'll see how it goes. Not a big Man United fan, regardless, so we'll see how that turns out.
At least he got a bag before he got hurt.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. But yeah, so now in 5th.
Have the opportunity of a lifetime to do something special here, big uncle.
What do you mean?
You know what I mean. Those boys, the Blues, can go into fourth. But will you
Uh,
do it or will you not?
oh man. I'm sorry, Brian, but I'm slotting your boys
No.
at fifth, man.
It's okay.
It's tough,
I
man.
can see them getting 16.
I as much as I would love to put Chelsea up higher, I don't know, man. They just been. We don't know what's going on with their squad. You guys have like a
Yeah,
whole American football team at your disposal at this point.
yeah.
Um,
I feel like if there's ever been a question mark ever, it is Chelsea. Like there's just like no fucking clue anything. Like I don't know, man.
they keep buying and buying and buying, and they don't sell. They just keep buying. It's like someone has a crazy good season, or they have a decent good season, or they look promising. Like sign him, sign him. I'm like, bro,
Yeah,
like, can you just stop? Can you narrow it down into a couple players and just get those guys? You can't sign every wonder kid. You can't sign
yeah,
every promising, like, developing player. You just gotta commit to the players you got. You might miss some, man. Not everyone's perfect. It
yeah,
just happens. It is what it is. But we'll see what happens with Chelsea, how they gel, how they do under their new manager and the players, the many players that they got. Who knows who else they'll get? I know for sure that Gallagher's future is kind of in the air because they're trying to figure something out with Atleti. Because Atleti at one point we're gonna send you guys another player that you guys didn't need to sign, but then stuff kind of
yep,
fell through. And they're trying to figure out a deal that might bring Joao Felix over. We don't know what's gonna happen. Everything's kind of in limbo at the moment. But I don't know. I feel like Joao Felix, even if they get him, is not the answer either. But I don't know.
yeah.
We'll see what happens with these guys. These guys are kind of goofy, but we'll find out. Yeah. But all right. So fourth here, you might call me shocker because this is kind of
Oh, Liverpool.
yeah, this is kind of a shocker a little bit. It's kind of crazy because you're like, I don't know. Like, is it biased that I have them so high, or is it not biased that I have them kind of low? So I'm gonna put Liverpool at fourth. No, not first. Fourth.
Oh, word! You feel their first potential?
I'm putting them fourth because they lost Jurgen Klopp, and he was a big piece in the team. And I feel like when you lose a manager that huge, it hurts you a lot. I mean, preseason was kind of lackluster. I didn't really see much from them. I don't know what's gonna happen. Um, I don't know. Like you did mention a good point that they're an aging team and they haven't signed anybody. But they tried to sign Zubamendi, but he's a rat. But yeah,
Yep.
it's all good. But yeah, so we'll see what happens if they bring anybody in at all. But at this point, I'd rather than bring in nobody than bring in the bad. Like, I'd rather than sign no one than sign bad players or make bad decisions and spend money, So,
Yeah, but they still have a lot of studs on that team. They'll be
yeah,
fine.
and they still got time if they want to find someone last
Yeah.
minute. Um, but yeah, so I put Liverpool fourth. I don't know how they're going to do without Klopp. I was going to put them third, but I was like, you know what, let me go fourth just in case.
Yeah.
And then third, people might call me crazy for this, but I'm putting
Which of the
Spurs.
two bottle jobs are you
I'm
gonna put in
putting
third?
Spurs in third because I feel like they had a decent season back. They could have got Champions League football, but they really messed it up at the end. They really threw themselves. They bottled it themselves. They could have had it in the bag and they messed it all up. But I'm putting them there because obviously they signed Solanke. We don't know how he's gonna translate, but I feel like he's kind of Harry Kane esque in the same kind of play style, like like they kind of play
Yeah.
a similar type of role. Maybe I might be wrong, but I feel like they're similar players. And we'll see how he does with the team. Son is still there. He's a stud. Um,
Have to put Archie Gray.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I've heard of that guy, but I know he's like this crazy up and coming player. But I can't comment on someone I don't really know much about. But I hear good things about that
The
kid.
stud.
I hear good things about that kid. Maybe things will go well for them. I'm hoping because they paid 41 mil for that kid. So, and he's only 18. So I hope he pans out. They extended Timo Werner's loan, which is decent. I know he played all right. He wasn't too bad. He played okay for
Turbo
them.
Timo.
Timo, not bad. More options. But yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know. I might be overestimating Tottenham, but I'm gonna put them in third. Um, but yeah,
I
and
think
then
you're just underestimating Chelsea.
I don't think so, Brian. I don't think so.
Okay,
I'm
go
sorry. All right. So I'm not trying to reverse psychology this because for years I've been putting
Oh,
Arsenal first.
word.
I've been putting Arsenal first and City second because I don't want City to win the league, but they won it for a record-breaking 4 times in a row. So what's stopping them from winning it 5 times in a row? Honestly, so for that reason, I'm putting Arsenal in second. Um, they signed on the
Nice.
Calafiore, like you said, which is crazy because the last thing they needed was center backs. I don't think they need center backs. They
Yep.
need other players. Like if you look at their squad, their defenders are stacked. They got Ben White, Gabriel, they got Timber, Saliba, and now they got Calafiore. So they do not need any more center backs.
And I don't even know where they're gonna play Califiori. Like they have to throw that dude left back probably, because like
Nah.
there's no way you move Gabriel or Saliba after how they played last year. There's just no way. Like there's no
Yeah.
way.
Oh, he does play left back, huh? I know, but
Yeah,
would you even want to play him left back? I'm tired of
I don't know.
I'm tired of teams putting players out of position just because they've played them there like to fill them in because they need the player on the fly because it's an emergency or they have someone out or they don't have anyone to fill that slot. They need to stop doing that and just put them in their natural positions because then you get players out of position that don't plan out the way you expect them to. Him playing left back is kind of crazy considering he's a center back. I feel like he should be center back, but if they really sign him to play left back, I think that's really, really dumb. I don't know why they would do that. And they already got solid center backs. If they're gonna play him at center back, then he's just sitting on the bench, and you guys spend all that money for what? They needed attacking players, man. They need to get rid of Kai Havertz, man. That guy's a bum. He cost
Yep.
Tony Cruz Euros and a Ballon d'Or, so he's a bum. I want that bum gone. He's trash. They need better players, man. Better attacking players. Gabriel Jesus, he's all right, but he's hit or miss. And Ketia, they need to sell him. I don't know what they're holding on to him for. I feel like he's just not it. I feel like he's not really gonna do much. I feel like he'll be like Danny Welbeck, like a mid to bottom tier striker in the Premier League that's gonna be playing for like your Leicesters, your Southamptons, your Forests, your West Broms, Hull Cities, Norwiches, teams like that. I don't know. He's not gonna.
Yeah.
I can't see him playing for a big team. Hey, maybe he proves me wrong, but yeah. And then obviously last but not least, we got
The
Manchester
greatest of all
City.
time.
We got 116 charges.
Make that 170.
Maybe 118, but yeah, include them in here. Um, they haven't really signed anybody. They haven't signed anybody. They loaned out
They
Calvin
don't need to
Phillips.
at this point.
They loaned out Calvin Phillips, and they sold Julian Alvarez. Um, don't get me wrong. Like they would have been dumb to say no to this deal, considering how much money Atletico was willing to spend. I think it would be dumb for them not to sell. But I just feel like they're gonna regret it. Like no offense to Holland, but I feel like him and Holland are two different players, and it's always good to have different versatility on your squad, like different styles of players. And I feel like they're two different players that complement, like the team in a different way. And I feel like they're gonna regret getting rid of him because if Holland's like not having a good game or he's not performing, who do they sub in? Because they got rid of Julian Alvarez, and he was always like the guy that would kind of come in and clean up for them.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's gonna happen. Other than that, they loaned out a bunch of their youth players, or they sold a bunch of their youth players. They have a lot of outs, no incomings. But I hear supposedly that they're gonna bring back Gundogan because Barcelona wants to get rid of him and he wants to leave.
Did
I
hear those rumors.
Yeah, so he might be going back to City. He might be running it back. I wouldn't be surprised. But Manchester City is Manchester City. They're gonna win it for a record fifth time in a row. And I don't know if Pep's
Yeah.
gonna leave. I can't see him leaving. Why would he leave? Where would he go to? Unless he's gonna retire. But
Maybe and I say this with such genuine thoughts behind it. What if it is because he knows something about like a point deduction or like a relegation that's coming in the near future? Like, what if that's what it is?
if he doesn't resign and then they get hit with that, then for sure he knew it was coming and that's why he didn't resign. But if it wasn't for
Now
that,
that would be some shady stuff too, but
yes, it would be. But don't. Hey, remember this guy played for Barcelona and he was the manager for them during that corruption period when the referees were being paid by Barcelona. So don't count him out, man. he's not a perfect guy. He's not a perfect player. You know, he's not a.
Yeah.
He is just as bad as the other guys. So I don't know, man. You just never know. But just like just be fishy about it. Just be suspicious about it in case he takes off and suddenly they get hit finally once and for all. Because he said that he would leave if he found out about that. He pretty much does not want to look like the. He doesn't want to look like a clown. He doesn't want to go out like that. So he's gonna jump
Yeah.
before the ship goes down. He is not gonna go down with that ship 100%. He does, which is ironic because there's a ship on City's badge. Um, but nah, I can't see that. We'll see what happens. If he resigns, then City's not gonna get hit with anything because he's not gonna be
Yeah.
caught dead with that on his track record. You know, 2 scandals of corruption in his career. That would be hilarious. Um, but yeah, but that is our predicted table. But yeah, any thoughts, Brian, on my team before we wrap it up?
The only thoughts were just crazy that you kind of have all three teams that are getting up, staying up. But I mean, hey man, it is what it is. We'll see at the end of the year. I mean, I feel like nothing we can really say is crazy because the year hasn't ended and like literally anything can happen. So I mean, yeah, only time will tell. But it would have been nice to see you put Chelsea winning the league. But I mean, obviously that didn't happen either. So
Brian, the last time I put faith in your boys, they finished like 10th. So the last time I put your boys to finish like second, they finished 10th. So I'm not making that mistake
you
again.
years, you us, big old team.
Okay,
We'll be
man.
fine. We'll be
I don't
fine.
know, man. Um,
When we put out our fifth first team, we'll be fine with our
Hey,
40th play.
I'm not against it, man. Even though Chelsea and Liverpool had that rivalry back in the 2000s and
Yeah,
the 2010s, um, I just hate City, man. Anybody could win except
yeah.
United. I just hate Manchester.
Just so good.
Yeah, I don't like those guys either. Yeah, I mean Arsenal can win it, sure. I mean, I don't know, man. I just don't want City to win it. At this point,
Yeah,
even United couldn't win it. I'm tired of City winning it.
yeah.
I can't stand those cheating, backhanded, slimy people.
People.
People. I was like, what do I say?
I know, like people. But yeah,
Let's
I don't
say
know.
people.
That's all I would just say. Just that shocking, but
Yeah.
like nothing too crazy. Everything
Yeah.
else kind of, I agree.
I mean, I put Leicester and Southampton because they've been in this league for
Yeah,
long stretches, so they know how to stay up. But I mean, it's happened before where teams like that go down, they come back up, and then they just go down again, and they can't come back
yeah,
up. Like look at Norwich, right? So they spent some years up, they went down, up, down, up, down, and then they haven't been up in like 2 or 3 seasons now. So
yeah.
eventually your luck runs out. So you never know. But these guys, Southampton and Leicester, have been up here for a while. So that's why I put them up there because I feel like I have faith in them. But Ipswich is the one that that might bite me in the butt because I feel like they could go down because like I said they haven't been up in ages. Um, and their squad isn't that crazy. It's barely much different. It's not much different from Luton's really. So we'll see what happens with them. But Ed Sheeran is a stakeholder in this team, so I don't think Ed Sheeran would let this team go down. Um,
Yep.
but they did have 2 back-to-back promotions, by the way, which is pretty crazy. They went from League One to the Championship to the Prem back to back to back. So can they stay up like right after? Like it's not a promotion, but them staying up is
Yeah.
pretty much might as well be a promotion. So we shall see how that goes. But yeah, and we'll end it there.